So, you want to date my daughter, do you? Well, there's a few things you're going to have to know first, punk. If you're hoping to date my daughter, there's several things you're going to have to know on the front end. I've got some rules you need to know. Number one, if you pull into my driveway and honk your horn, you had better be delivering something, because you sure are not picking up something. Alrighty, rule number two, you had better never touch my daughter. You may look at her, as long as your eyes never go below her neck. And if you cannot keep your eyes and hands off of her, I will remove them for you. Rule number three, I am aware that boys your age like to wear your pants with your underwear showing, and they're so loose they appear to be falling down, and you know what, I'm sorry, but you and your friends are complete idiots. But if you show up at my door with your pants hanging down, your underwear showing, wearing pants 10 sizes too big, I'm going to leave you alone on that one. However, to ensure that your pants stay on during your date with my daughter, I will fasten them securely with my nail gun. Alright, rule number four. I'm sure you've been told that in today's world that having sex without some kind of barrier method can kill you. Well, let me elaborate. When it comes to sex, I am the barrier method, and I will kill you. Rule number five. My wife and daughter seem to think that for some crazy reason you and I need to get to know each other. Talking about politics and sports and all that kind of nonsense. Please don't ever try this. Because the only thing I need to know from you is what time you are going to have my daughter home safely. And by the way, the correct answer is very, very early. Oh, by the way, rule number six. I'm sure you're real popular with the ladies and all. And you know what, that's okay. I'm sure you got lots of opportunities to date, but once you go out with my daughter, you will go out with her and only her until she is finished with you. And by the way, if you make her cry, I will make you cry. Alright, rule number seven. You may find yourself standing around a long time waiting on my little girl to get ready. Between hair and makeup, picking out the right clothes and all of that, and you know what? That's okay. It may take longer than it took to paint the Golden Gate Bridge. But that's just the way women are. Get used to it. They're always late. Never on time for anything. And that's okay. So instead of checking your watch and fidgeting and doing all that kind of stuff, why don't you make yourself useful and change the oil in my car? And now it's time for rule number 8. The following places are not acceptable for taking my daughter to. Places where there are beds, sofas, anything softer than a wooden stool. Places where there are policemen and nuns in plain view are okay. Also, don't take my daughter to any places that are dark. Places like movie theaters and such. Now, movies are okay as long as they don't have a strong sexual or romantic theme to them. Movies where there's pillaging and plundering and murder and mayhem and chainsaws, those are okay. But again, sporting events, that's a good one. Stick to sporting events. So there you go. Nothing too difficult to understand. And just to set the record straight, I did not say that I was going to tattoo these rules on some young boy's arm. True, my daughter does say that it embarrasses her terribly when I make young men memorize these rules and be able to recite them off the top of their head. But I did not threaten to tattoo it on their arm. I did look into it. It was a little cost prohibitive. And I told them that writing it in ballpoint pen was not going to work either, because it could wash away. But that my wood burning set would work even better. You know, one time my wife caught me reviewing these rules with some young guy a few dozen times because he had pulled into our driveway and honked his horn. Obviously a clear violation of rule number 1. So we had to go over it a few dozen times. And then my wife pulls me aside and she says, "Honey, why are you so hard on these boys? Don't you remember what it was like to be that age?" And I told her, of course I do. Why do you think I came up with these rules? Oh. say hello to my little friend. And I forgot one last rule. Be afraid. Be very afraid.